streaming on YouTube, which I believe is now. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. Guys, listen, hostage release in the Middle East today. Some crazy stuff is happening on the peripherals. We have got the meetings in Egypt. Look, guys, I'm saying prepare for the worst, expect the worst from that. Some crazy stuff coming out of Egypt. Hostage releases, ceasefire over in Gaza. Guys, look, it's all happening today in the world. It does look like today is going to be a critical day for global events. We're going to be talking about that, guys. I'm also going to try and touch on what's happening in Eastern Europe. So Eastern Europe at the moment, Russian military buildups on the Finnish border, drone warfare in Eastern Ukraine, industrialized war. So we're going to get onto all of that, guys. But I want to try and focus really this morning on what's happening with the hostage release in the Middle East. Now, as we understand it, 7 hostages have been released so far. I'm expecting the worst. Let's see how today pans out, guys, okay? Because understandably, there's going to be a lot of tensions running high in the Middle East. There's going to be tensions running high all over the world. So I'm going to give you guys live updates right now, live updates from a couple of minutes ago. And also, we're waiting for Donald Trump to make a speech. So I will keep flicking to that, guys. Right, so that's what we're talking about today, this morning, ladies and gentlemen. So can you do me a favor? Like, comment, subscribe, bell notifications, all those buttons that help this channel grow. Right, let's go. We are triple streaming, guys. So if I say something that I shouldn't while I'm on TikTok, then jump over to YouTube, because the YouTube algorithm is more it's more forgiving than the TikTok algorithm. Right, so let's jump down. So let me go back. I'm going to give you guys a couple of updates from like 15 minutes ago. Things are happening thick and fast in the Middle East right now, guys, okay? 18 minutes ago, Israeli military confirms transfer of all remaining captives Red Cross custody. So what we can take from that is, all the hostages are now with the Red Cross now. The International Red Cross, the Red Cross, the International Red Cross, I think they're called. ICRC. So it's International Crescent of the Red Cross or something like that. Anyway. Historically, the Red Cross have been the intermediary when there's hostage releases, when there's prisoner releases. If you go back to the 1993 war in Kuwait, war with Iraq in Kuwait, then the International Red Cross were the intermediary that released the British hostages from the prisoners of war from there as well. So it does look like from the Israeli military, they're saying all the hostages, and again, we're yet to confirm this, guys. We're only going to know whether all these hostages have been released once they get into Israel, and the Israelis can say, yes, that's one of our guys, that's one of our guys, that's one of our guys. We don't know anything at the moment, guys. Everything's got a question mark on it. So the Israeli military said on a tweet, on an X post 19 minutes ago, that the Red Cross is transferring the captives to its Shin Bet forces bases in Gaza and the Gaza Strip. Colleagues at Al Jazeera, Arabic citing Palestinian sources, are also reporting the handover of all living captives is now complete. Right, okay. So the handover of all living captives is now complete. So I guess the unalived, the bodies, they've not been handed over yet. And again, guys, for closure, this is a big thing, guys. It's a big thing for closure. Pictures. 12 minutes ago, Israeli army has confirmed that it's received the remaining 13 captives released by Hamas. Right, is that all the hostages now? Are all the hostages released? EU pledges support for Gaza reconstruction, reforming the Palestinian Authority. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has said the European Union will help reform the Palestinian Authority and fund the reconstruction of Gaza. you've got to think, guys, you know, I'm putting a lot of this information together right now, and it does seem like this has been planned a long time. In a post on X, von der Leyen welcomed the ceasefires deal as finalization in Sharm el-Sheikh later on today, a historical milestone. Guys, some crazy stuff is happening around the world today. Look, guys, I don't want to go down the mysticism route. I don't want to go down the aliens and alternate dimensions, but guys, did you see the ritual last night in Egypt? Honestly, guys, this shit is wild. If you guys have seen there was a huge ritual, like thousands of people were there. I think it was called a Genesis Live music festival. Guys, I was watching this and I couldn't help but think ritualistic. You know, it was so crazy. I may or may not share that video with you guys. The return of Israeli hostages is a moment of pure joy for those families. Absolutely, guys. And a moment for relief for the entire world. It is, guys. It really is. Remember, fighting broke out last night in Gaza. As we understand it, minimum of 27 people have been killed. Freed Israeli captives family, it says, we can breathe again. Right, from 4 minutes ago now, guys, buses transporting Palestinian prisoners from Offa prison. Television footage has shown 2 buses believed to be carrying Palestinian prisoners and the Red Cross vehicles leaving Offa prison. We'll bring you more shortly. Right, and then I've just got another live update. Family learns their brother, a Palestinian prisoner, will be exiled. Mohammed Imran's Khan came out. Hang on. Mohammed Imran's family came out early to wait for his release, but were shocked to realize that he is among more than 100 Palestinian prisoners who Israel has decided to exile. Right, I don't mean that. This means they could not see him again, except in the unlikely chance that Israel allows them to leave Palestine to meet him overseas. Okay, so I guess this is somebody that the Israeli authorities deemed too dangerous to go back to Gaza. Right, we've got another update, guys. 18 seconds ago, Palestine's President Abbas to attend the Egypt summit. Guys, there's a lot of energy going to be focused at Sharm el-Sheikh today. Like, can you imagine if you was just on a 2-week holiday and you had no idea this was happening, then all of a sudden you've got, like, boom, security, armed guards, you know, restrictions, all sorts of crazy shizzles. So Palestine's President Abbas to guys, look, I'm expecting the worst today. I'm expecting skullduggery. I'm expecting shenanigans today. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas will attend the summit on Gaza that will take place in Egypt later today. France's President Macron said. The summit, co-chaired by President Trump and Egypt's El-Sisi, will see more than 20 leaders gather to mark the Gaza ceasefire and the return of Israeli captives in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Neither Israel or Hamas will be represented at the summit. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, prepare for shenanigans at this summit. I've said, you know, I've said publicly in a previous video, I don't see the likelihood, you know, I genuinely don't see the likelihood of anyone being able to take out President Trump. What I've also said is, if it's going to happen, that's the likely strike point. When you're planning one of these missions, you know, you're gonna the best place to take out the best place to strike someone is when they're mobile. It's a lot easier to take someone out when they're mobile. Now, that's kind of not an option in Sharm el-Sheikh because the Sharm el-Sheikh airport is in Sharm el-Sheikh. So there's no real long roads you can plan a strike. So the next place to plan that strike would be in Egypt itself. Now, obviously, I don't see how. There's 2 options here. You can have the big spectacular where there's thousands of gunmen and, you know, ships and drones and all sorts of crazy stuff. I see that unlikely. Maybe someone could sneak a rifle in there, sneak a pistol in there, have a crack at Trump that way. I don't know. What I do know is, and I said this yesterday, Sharm el Sheikh is a very, if you've ever been to Sharm el Sheikh, when you're in there, when you're at Sharm el Sheikh, and that's where the meetings are being held today, guys. If you're in Sharm el Sheikh, it looks very cosmopolitan, very metropolitan, but literally, guys, Sharm el Sheikh is like a tiny little slither. It's a very controlled holiday resort. There's one road north and one road west. That is it. So if you want to close down Sharm el Sheikh, it's very easy, guys. It's just literally 2 roads, and you're not getting out. So that's what we've got happening today, guys. I will jump over in a second and get the comments. Let me just make sure there's been no more updates. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us this morning, we're talking about the hostage release, live updates from the Middle East. I'm going to give you guys this as we get that. We're also waiting for Donald Trump to make. Oh, hang on.
I'm now confident that all the living hostages that were taken, that remains of those hostages taken on October the 7th, in such a brutal day of atrocities and carnage and massacre and abduction, that those hostages are now out of Gaza and on their way to safety, medical treatment, and ultimately home.
Okay, so what we've just got there from Sky News, guys, listen, and if I'm a little bit behind, it's because I'm doing the live stream and I'm giving you guys updates. What I understand it now from Sky News, all the remaining hostages are now out of Gaza and they're heading home towards their families. So that's all we know at this moment, guys. I think, I don't know if that's been confirmed. That's just what Sky News are reporting. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about that this morning. We're also going to, I think I'm going to have to do another live stream later on this afternoon, because I said to you guys last night we were going to talk this morning about what's happening in Ukraine, talking about what's happening on the Finland border, the Russian buildup of military assets, phase 0, I guess, and phase 0 would be the initial military buildup. Remember, guys, before you put your military somewhere, you need to have somewhere to put them. So that's what's happening at the moment on the Finnish border. The Russians are renovating, is that the right word? Yeah, I guess. Renovating old military assets in that region for the potential likely deployment of masses of troops. Now, if we got, I'm going to switch quickly to Eastern Europe, guys, and then I think I'm going to leave Eastern Europe for the moment, and we're going to focus on the Middle East. So, if you guys remember, a couple of days ago, I did a video and I said Vladimir Putin, he's given the go-ahead to conscript or to upgrade their military with an extra 135 extra boots on the ground. Well, actually double if you're counting each boot. So an extra 135,000 soldiers. So that's the reality of what's happening in Eastern Europe right now, guys. But I do want to focus on the Middle East for now. Look, guys, before I come on to the questions and the comments, look, something crazy happened in Egypt last night. And if you've not seen this video, guys, online, there's videos circling online. And the only way I can describe this is a ritualistic, a mass ritual. I'm talking about the Genesis Live mystical night of music at the Gaza pyramids. This was absolutely crazy. So now we've got this, and again, if you want to go down mysticism and Jungian philosophy, we have got this happening now. So there's just been a massive energy release in I'm talking about like spiritual energy, I guess, if you want to go down that route. Mass spiritual energy release in Egypt as the world leaders are meeting. Guys, look, I'm just really conscious here, and I'm expecting the worst. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump onto the TikTok comments first. I'm going to jump on the TikTok comments first, and then I will jump over to the YouTube comments. Good morning, everyone on TikTok. You guys are fantastic. Very good looking. Lots of good looking people on TikTok this morning. Good morning, everyone. Right, guys, I'm just going to jump down to the comments because I'm conscious that Donald Trump's about to make a speech, so I don't want to be halfway through while I'm calling shouting people's names. Silence is saying morning. Jody Lee saying morning. So is D. Marie Gen X. Jean Porthrow. Google it is saying France contemplates the end of the Fifth Republic. Hang on, guys. Hang on. I think there's just been... Hang on, guys. 2 updates have just come in from the Middle East. Give me a second. Sorry, guys. 2 updates have just come in. Right, okay. Right, okay, so Israeli military fired tear gas and rubber bullets at the Palestinians waiting for prisoner releases. So what we can take from that, guys, look, I'm giving you guys live updates right now, guys. So the information that I'm getting, I'm reading this in real time. So from 3 minutes ago, the Israeli military have started firing tear gas and rubber bullets at Palestinians waiting for prisoner releases. An Israeli armored vehicle fired tear gas and rubber bullets at Palestinians gathered near Offa prison in the occupied West Bank, where hundreds had assembled to await for prisoner release, Associated Press has reported. The vehicle, flying an Israeli flag, approached the hill overlooking the prison as drones hovered overhead to disperse the crowd. So what we can take from this, guys, is scenes of chaos right now in the Middle East, guys. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. Also, from 3 minutes ago, reports suggest that Netanyahu may travel to Egypt for the international summit. So, guys, that's from 3 minutes ago. So, if you guys remember earlier on, I said that there was going to be no representation from Israel and no representation from Gaza at this summit. Looks like, and I'm just reading this in real time, guys. Reports suggest that Netanyahu, obviously he would be representing Israel, may travel to Egypt for the international summit. This is from Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera are reporting from Jordan because it has been banned from Israel and the occupied West Bank. So that's what I'm getting there, guys. Yeah, that's what I'm getting there. So it does look like there's I don't want to use the word, can I use the word violence? It does look like chaos is breaking out right now, guys, in the Middle East. And I'm taking that from this article here, where it's saying it's believed that Israeli military have fired tear gas and rubber bullets at Palestinians waiting for the prisoner release. And again, guys, this comes on to what I was saying yesterday. Right, guys, behave. We're bringing you the prisoners. Just behave. Calm down. Ah, right, just calm down, guys. You have to be very careful and cautious. Not all people are equal. Oh, guys, there's 2 more updates. Right. Okay. So Israel. Okay. So hang on. Israel names, this is from 40 seconds ago, guys. This is the information is coming thick and fast. Israel names 13 remaining captives released from Gaza. Israel's foreign minister has named the 13 Israeli captives who were released by Hamas after 738 days. Wow, that is like, I mean, these people now are gonna it's going to be very difficult for these people to fit back into normal society. 7 hostages released earlier today. The latest phase of the ceasefire agreement. The Palestinian Prisoners Society has also named 1,718 Palestinians scheduled for release from Israeli jails after, as part of the ongoing exchange deal. So that's what we're getting right now, guys. It does look. It does look like all the hostages have now been released. Let me just refresh this screen. Oh, hang on a minute. That's weird. Okay. Does look like all the hostages have now been released, guys. They've been named. So I'm going to jump onto the comments on YouTube, guys, because the comments are going wild on YouTube at the moment. Good morning, everyone on YouTube. You fantastic lot. You fantastic lot on YouTube. Guys, if you're on YouTube and you've not done so already, can you hit those buttons below, the like, subscribe, bell notification? Really do appreciate it when you guys do that. Right, let me jump over here. Where should we start? Right, we'll start with James Brooke. Christians who study prophecy are watching Trump's words very carefully. We are looking for 2 words from the Bible. Oh, right. James, what words are we looking from the Bible? And look, guys, I don't want to go down this mysticism route, but I'm seeing a lot of strange stuff happening at the moment. You know, I want to keep this. I want to keep this grounded in reality. I want to keep this live stream grounded in reality of what's really happening on the ground. Also, but look, guys, you can't not see it because this did really happen as well. In Egypt last night, there was a massive dance ritual. And if you guys have seen the images of like Medusa dancing, like casting a spell on people, it's wild. And I see this stuff now. The more I first got onto this, when people were talking about, what's her name? The crazy woman took over from Madonna. The meat costume woman. Who's the meat costume woman? Lady Gaga. So I first got onto this when people were talking about Lady Gaga, saying she's doing satanic rituals. I was like, whatever. And then I looked. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And you know, you can't. When you start seeing this stuff, you start seeing it everywhere. Guys, 3 seconds ago, a new update. We talked about it earlier. Breaking news, guys, from 3 seconds ago. Netanyahu to attend the summit in Egypt. This is breaking news, guys, a couple of seconds ago. Israel's Prime Minister to Netanyahu will be attending the Sharm el-Sheikh summit in Egypt later today. Egypt's presidency spokesperson has said. So it is official, guys. Netanyahu will now be attending this summit in Egypt. Guys, look, be prepared for some shenanigans in Egypt today, guys, all right? Right, James, what 2 words are we waiting for, guys? Darren Bell is saying, just watching the Genesis video seems like rave gone wrong. Oh boy. Yeah, look, guys, if you've not seen this, it's called Anime Live Genesis or something. It was like, you know, this dance festival in Egypt is absolutely wild. All I can describe it is a satanic ritual or some sort of invocation of some sort of energetic force. And that's in Egypt, guys. That's happening now. So that energy is going to be invoked over Egypt. Guys, I don't want to go into that, talk about different dimensions, but that's real. It's happening, you know, and some crazy stuff's good. I'm believing some crazy stuff's ready to be happened in, I believe some crazy stuff's going to be happening in Egypt today. John Giles is saying, how are these hostages going to feel when they see how Europe recognized terrorists going to give them billions to rebuild? Look, guys, it's a crazy world we're living in right now. We have got conflicts. I mean, we have got wars and rumors of wars. You know, there's so much happening right now. I was going to do this live stream this morning on what's happening in. Those of you guys who were on the live stream last night. A lot of you guys were talking about the Russian buildup, Russia getting ready to attack another European country. I said I was going to do the live stream this morning, but I think this is more pressing right now, guys, with the amount of things that are happening. And remember, guys, you know, I've said this quite a few times. I don't see the likelihood of Donald Trump being taken out, but if there's anywhere it's going to happen, it's going to be in Sharm el-Sheikh. If it's going to happen at all, guys, it's going to happen in Sharm el-Sheikh. Remember, you know, people have tried taking out Trump before. Yeah, just watching the Genesis scenes. Peace and security. Oh. Right, James. Right. James, can you tell me why? Okay, so just a comment here on YouTube, guys. James is saying, if Donald Trump says peace and security or safety, so peace and security or peace and safety, if he says those words, it's actually bad. Can you give me context why that's bad? Because surely those are good words. Or is it like Senator Palpatine? When Senator Palpatine takes control of the Senate in Return of the Sith? Return of the Sith? I think it's Return of the Sith. And everybody's clapping, saying he's going to bring security to his new empire. Silly, yeah, guys, it is confirmed. Benjamin Netanyahu will be going to the summit in Egypt today. Guys, listen, I know people in comments on the chat about Eastern Europe. I think I'm gonna, once I've done this live stream, guys, once we've done this for an hour, I think I'm gonna come straight back on. I'm gonna go and have a cup of tea. I'll come back on and I'll talk about what's happening in Europe. But guys, look, I do think this needs to take precedence right now. What's happening in the Middle East? Oh, hang on, guys.
They have lost those bargaining chips now. We now have confirmation are now completely out of Gaza, those living hostages. But let's not forget actually what's brought us here. You know, Donald Trump has gone through an extraordinary journey when it's come to Gaza. He initially was talking about something that most people regarded as ethnic cleansing or pretty close to it.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, so it is confirmed now all the hostages are out of... it is confirmed. Well, mainstream media reporting it's confirmed. So the hostages are now out of Gaza. What that means for the Palestinians is that bargaining chip and that that tool, that's no longer that's no longer there for them. But you've got to understand how they got here. Didn't really matter anymore, because the Israelis were not negotiating. So the Israelis were saying, right, look, you don't release those hostages, you're gonna have nothing left, and we are gonna take down every building block by block until you release them. And I do think, look, guys, I'm ex-military, and I've dealt with this. I've been on active hostage rescues. I've dealt with this, and I understand that when people start to take hostages, they become terrorists, and you can't negotiate with terrorists. That's just the Western doctrine, because as soon as you start to negotiate with terrorists, as soon as you don't go hard on terrorists, then you will open yourself up to more attacks each and every time, guys. Literally each and every time, you will open yourself up to more attacks. So that's the reason why I think the Palestinians, the Gazans, whatever you, I mean, I guess I'm British now, so I can call them Palestinians. That's why these people have been dragged, to the negotiating table. I can remember there was a meme going around online, and there was a picture of, what's his name? Barack Obama. There was a picture of Barack Obama and then a picture of Hamas. And Barack Obama, he was on the phone and he's saying, let's negotiate. And Hamas are saying, I'm going to blow shit up. And then there was Joe Biden, and he was on the phone and he was saying, let's negotiate. And Hamas was saying, I'm going to blow shit up. And then there was a picture of Donald Trump and he was saying, I'm going to blow shit up. And then Hamas saying, yeah, let's negotiate. And people have got to understand, sometimes you can only have peace by superior firepower. I learned this in the Middle East. It's very difficult for me to articulate this. So I'll say some things I've said before, and I don't think it's wrong of me saying this. People who say they understand the Middle East don't understand the Middle East. And I think today from the live updates that I gave you guys a couple of minutes ago, let me just go down and get these live updates again. So again, I think what's clear from last night in Gaza City. So in Gaza City last night, I don't know if you guys know or not, last night in Gaza City, there was no ceasefire in Gaza City last night. Fighting broke out between, as the BBC are reporting it, Hamas forces and armed clans. Now, I don't know what an armed clan is, guys. I'll be quite clear. Don't ask me what's an armed clan. I don't know. I thought clans were, specifically to Scotland, but whatever. 27 people last night lost their lives in Gaza City. I don't know what was achieved. I'm going to speculate not much. Today, the Israeli military have had to fire tear gas and rubber bullets at Palestinians waiting for prisoner release. So just from the context of that, what I'm saying is imagine you're waiting for your loved ones to get released and you can't help but... you see where I'm going here, guys. There's chaos and there's carnage happening right now. Chaos and carnage happening right now. Hang on, let me see if there's been any. Oh, hang on, there's another update. So watch live. Captive prisoner swap leaves lots of questions. Right, there's a 5-minute video here, guys. It's just been released. I'm not going to watch that, but that's the headline. Israeli captive Palestinian prisoner swap leaves lots of questions. Political analyst says. I don't know what that means, guys. I'm not gonna play that video. Right, I'm gonna jump onto the TikTok comments, guys, and I'll jump over to YouTube. Sharon Owen is saying morning. Sharon Owen is also saying Tony Blair has just arrived. No, we're saved. The Middle East is saved, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Blair is there. Cora Reefin is saying peace in the Middle East. Why is no one else even mentioning Iran, though? Yeah, look, guys, Iran is the elephant in the room here. We've got to understand the trade routes that Iran is going. So if peace in Gaza is equal to war with Iran, because as soon as Gaza, starts to get rebuilt with a port, that means that the east-west trade route through Saudi Arabia, Jordan, through Israel, by de facto, whatever's going to happen with Gaza, that means that those people be able to start making money. And you know what? You know when you start making money, you kind of don't want to do one of those attacks where you don't come back. It kind of takes away the incentive. Something doesn't feel right in the world today, says Jody Lee. Jody Lee, have you watched the Genesis live mystical event in Egypt last night? Guys, it was wild. It is wild. I'm saying that there's been some sort of like wild energetic release or something in Egypt last night, and that energy is going to be cruising around. I don't know if people are calling demons or spiritual beings. I don't want to go full Alex Jones on you guys just yet. Daniel Payne is saying if they turn Trump into a beam of light, they have a war nutter on their hands, vice president. Look, guys, all I'm saying with this, the likelihood and the capacity and the complications of taking out Trump in Sharm el-Sheikh are ridiculous. Those Secret Service guys who have gone out with Donald Trump, they will all be ex-US Special Forces, maybe even some British Special Forces on that detail, although I don't think you can serve on the president's team if you're not a US citizen. Certainly, these guys who are on Donald Trump's team are top-tier operators. Guys in their mid-40s, tons and tons and tons of experience, still, with that fitness level, that experience, that level of maturity. They can operate all the weapons, all the toys. Donald Trump's Air Force One will be in Sharm el-Sheikh, and that thing's a fortress. They will have armored cars, all sorts of stuff. So the likelihood of getting to Trump is low. However, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in Sharm el-Sheikh. Daniel Payne is saying... I've done that one. Sharon Owen is saying, if they get peace today, are all the illegals going to be sent back? I don't know, Sharon Owen. That's a good question. If there is peace in the Middle East, that means there's no more war in Gaza. So potentially all the Palestinians need to get sent back. Maybe they're just going to go back there on holiday. Daniel Payne is saying, God, how is Tony Blair even there? He should have been arrested for war crimes. Jody Lee is saying, yes, I watched it. It just isn't right. It was crackers, guys. If you guys have seen the ritual last night in Giza, they've done this like, I don't even know how to explain it, guys. Like this, like some sort of like psychedelic dance ritual. And they've got like this, I don't know if it's a hologram of like, I think it's Medusa. It might not be. Obviously Medusa can hypnotize people. So you've got like this, like massive, I think it's, what's the word I just said? Not hypergenic, hologram. I think it's a massive hologram. And it's of Medusa, and Medusa's like being held with these shackles, and then the shackles are released, and Medusa starts doing spells and shit. And I was like, right, you know, there's too much stuff, and that's right in Egypt right now. Just the timings don't add up, guys. And then Google it over on TikTok is saying Trump warns Russia he may send Ukraine Tomahawk missiles. Yeah, guys, look, I'm gonna. I think once I've done this live stream, I think I'm gonna close this live stream down, and then I'll go and have a cup of tea, and I'll come back, and I will just focus solely on what's happening in Eastern Europe. But yes, as Google is saying over on TikTok, Trump has warned he may send Ukraine Tomahawk missiles. If you actually read into that, he's saying he may sell Tomahawk missiles, so he's selling them now to go on to the European Union, and then the European Union then give them to Ukraine. So you've got that chain there where Trump's saying, no, I've not given the Ukrainians Tomahawk missiles. I've sold the European Union Tomahawk missiles, and they've then gifted them to the Ukrainians. And of course, you know, behind the scenes, there will be back channels open, and these guys will be talking, you know, and then they will have already come to the agreement. They will have already come to the agreement behind the scenes. Just another update now, guys. Another update from 1 minute ago. Buses carrying Palestinian prisoners arrive in Ramallah. Live footage shows buses carrying some of the Palestinian prisoners released by Israel arriving in Ramallah. So yeah, it does look like they're in Ramallah now. Right, guys, I'm going to jump over to the live. I'm going to jump over to the comments. Let me see what's happening on the live. Yeah, I'm looking at the images now of those buses. Let me see. Let's get some audio.
Also buses that are taking some of these Palestinian prisoners, the detainees, out to getting them ready to take them to a number of places, including the West Bank, Jerusalem, and some others from other prisons have left and gone to Gaza as well. There are also reports that some will be sent abroad, but you can see those buses.
Yeah, so it does look like this. It does look like this is going ahead, guys, right now. I'm just going to jump up. Oh, hang on. Louise Webb on TikTok is saying, Trump said this morning he's going to talk to Putin about Tomahawk missiles. Right, listen, guys, there's a lot of stuff happening right now. I am gonna once we've done this live stream this morning, I am gonna close it down, and then I'll go and have a cup of tea, maybe a sandwich or something. I'll come back and we will talk about what's happening in Ukraine. Oh, hang on, guys. I think something's happening here.
Spoken by phone?
No, sorry. Right, I'm gonna get the question. I'm gonna get the questions on YouTube, guys. Just guys, there's so many questions. Right, I'm gonna start here with Slim. In the words of Bobby McFerrin, don't worry, be happy. Lisa Jane is on YouTube is saying our leaders have let its people down badly. I would think that if always planned, we have been prepared. Donna is saying, all right, okay. Darren Bell is saying that Genesis video reminds me of what could be rising. Oh, sorry. Darren Bell is saying that guys, have you all seen the Genesis video? It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, this happened in Egypt last night. Now, if you want to go down the esoteric mysticism route, I don't want to go down it now, guys. I want to keep this live stream grounded in perceivable reality. I'm talking 5 senses perceivable reality. But if you want to go down that mysticism route, the only way I can describe this festival last night in Egypt was a summoning ritual. That's the only thing I can describe it as, guys. An actual, if I was an alien looking down, I'd say, what are these guys doing? I say, they're trying to summon something from the deep. And, I agree with what Darren Bell's saying, although I don't know what Rising of Osiris means. I will Google that in a minute. Guys, look, I I want to keep this grounded in perceivable reality. I may talk about this later on tonight at the live stream, but look, guys, if you've not watched that, it's called Genesis. If you guys want to go and search for this, Genesis Live Cairo. It's wild, guys. The footage from there is wild. I don't want President Trump to leave his life. No, neither do I. He has done something really good for his country. Donna is saying, Ryan, Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country and they never recognized Israel. And tomorrow, the president of Indonesia is coming to Israel. Oh, sorry. Bless the Orange Emperor, says Slim. Helen is saying it's real. It's real. Well, I don't. Are we talking about the demonic risers? There, are we talking about the demonic risers? Darren Bell, lol, Medusa, the Hydra. I'm not sure it matters. The world is in turmoil. Keep calm and carry on regardless. Yeah, guys. So I don't like, guys. I don't know what this ritual was about yesterday. I don't really. To me, there's like this. It looks like Medusa. I might be wrong, guys. I don't know. It might be a Medusa. It might be a Sire. I don't know. But there's like this ridiculously like. How do I describe it? Like satanic ritual dance festival in Egypt, and they've got like this like model of. I think it's Medusa. I might be wrong, but they're like the Medusa thing because they've got like I think it's the snakes coming out of their hair, and the Medusa's trying to like get free, and then the shackles are taken off the Medusa's arms. And then he starts doing like spells and stuff. That's what I'm seeing anyway. Lisa Jane is saying, I've had so much anxiety with the hostage release situation. Yeah, guys, look, it does look like I'm pretty confident now. I can confirm that all the hostages, all the living hostages are now back in, all the living hostages are now back in Israel. I don't know if they're with their families, but look, guys, for me, that is a fantastic thing. That's a fantastic thing because I've said this quite a few times. You can't take civilians, like when the 7th of October attack happened, like I'm ashamed to say it, that people were out on the streets in the United Kingdom, like waving flags in support. Then you had people coming online saying it was a fantastic military operation by the Palestinians. And I was thinking like, right, okay, guys, look, people need to really, really have a reality check here. If you target civilians, that's not a military operation. Doesn't matter what you've been told. If you target civilians, that's not a military operation. If the 7th of October attack would have focused on military bases, radar domes, the Iron Dome, Israeli aircraft, that would have been a military operation. And I think the world would have totally seen things different. I do. I think that would have been, and as brutal as it is, two countries. The first rule of war is to avoid war. The second rule of war is to win that war at all costs. And I think people would have thought a lot differently about the Palestinian cause if they'd not have. I mean, I've seen this footage, guys, of people just being executed in the streets, people just driving their cars, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to think that people were out on the streets celebrating that as it, and saying it was a legitimate military operation. Guys, it wasn't. It wasn't a military operation. Freddie is saying TikTok. I don't know what's been shown on TikTok. Oh. Right. Okay. So a message, just a quick message here on TikTok, guys. Russian submarine in the English Channel and explosive risk as World War III surges. So there's a, as I understand it, there's a Russian, there's an old, I think, I'll come on to this in a second, guys, but from memory, I think there's a sunken Russian, no, do you know what, let me get this because I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure there's a sunken Russian submarine in the English Channel and it's full of explosives. And what the Russians are saying is it wouldn't take much to explode that. But let me just make sure that this is not something different. Oh, hang on. No, that is something different. Hang on. Okay, sorry. No, that's something totally different, guys. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I give you guys real-time analysis. And the information I get from you, a lot of this stuff, I just go with what's on my memory. Sometimes I get things. I'm never mean to mislead. But this is an article from 31 minutes ago. Now, I'm pretty sure there's still a sunken. I'm pretty sure there's still a sunken Russian submarine in the English Channel that's full of explosives. Anyway, I'll give you this now, guys. Floating bomb, Putin's ticking time bomb submarine that risked explosion in the Mediterranean, seen sailing through the English Channel, shadowed by NATO. The submarine is reportedly experiencing serious technical issues, including a fuel leak. Right, okay. So I actually think this might be a nuclear submarine. Putin's submarine, branded a potential floating bomb, is creeping through the English Channel. Maybe it might stop. So listen, guys, if it stops the migrants, it might be a good thing. Putin's submarine, branded potential floating bomb, is creeping through the English Channel under the close watch of NATO warships. The limping submarine site near the UK comes as reports it risked exploding in the Mediterranean. Some pictures of it. The 243-foot diesel, sorry, it's not nuclear, it's diesel electric submarine, is part of Putin's Black Sea Fleet and potentially capable of carrying nuclear weapons. They're all capable of carrying nuclear weapons. I mean, I can, definitely all capable. It's been forced to travel on the surface, escorted by a Russian tugboat after suffering serious technical failures on a mission in the Mediterranean. So, look, guys, I am going to focus on what's happening in the Middle East. But I just want to throw, seeing as Google mentioned this on TikTok, I am going to talk about this a little bit. When we talk about the Russian Navy, and people make fun of it, they do. People make fun of the Russian Navy because they're always breaking down. The Russian military, the Russian Navy is always breaking down. It's kind of like a standing joke. Now, like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, what is the task and purpose of the Navy? What's the task and purpose of the Navy? What's the task and purpose of the military? What of the Army? What's the task and purpose of the Air Force? So now you've got to think about the task and purpose. Is the task and purpose of that Navy to defend Russia's shores and to defend against hostile attack? If that is the case, then what does it matter how expensive and how much their ships or submarines are breaking down? Because what we've learned and what I've been talking about for a long time is the prospect of asymmetric naval warfare. Now, I did a video on YouTube. If you guys want to go and check out my video on YouTube, like maybe a year ago, over a year ago, maybe. And I was talking about asymmetric naval warfare, whereby ships are military ships are being attacked by civilian ships. So then, like a couple of weeks ago, I think it was last week, there were reports of drones being launched from Russian oil tankers. So now that is really happening. So how do you deal with that? Like a Russian oil tanker now, full of oil, sailing, launches a load of drones. What are you going to do? You're going to sink that oil tanker, causing a massive environmental disaster? What are you going to do? How do they, put yourself in the Navy's commander, right? Let's just say, let me pin this again. Let's just say, Google it on TikTok. Right, Google it. You are, right, so Google it. Everybody put yourself in this scenario, right? Let's just say Google it is the commander is the Admiral Googly, and you're in charge of a US strike carrier group. You've got like an aircraft carrier worth billions. You've got frigates and destroyers and logistics, and you've got everything at your disposal. You've got F-35s, you've got F-18s, you've got all sorts of stuff at your disposal, right? Just say that's happening right now. You're sailing through whatever waters, and all of a sudden, one of your frigates or one of your destroyers gets sank by a drone attack, and you can see on the radar that drone attack, those aircraft came from an oil tanker, a Russian oil tanker, a Russian civilian oil tanker, full of oil, really set low down in the water. How do you respond to that? What are your options? You're fucked. You are absolutely dilly-swizzled, guys. You're dilly-swizzled. The Swizzler's gone dizzlers. It's a no-brainer. A, you don't do anything. You just let them sink your ships. Fine, all right. You're going to lose a lot of destroyers. B, your only other option is to sink it. You sink that ship full of oil, you've got an environmental disaster, all right? You've got the Russians claiming, this was not us. You attacked our ship unnecessarily. It was unprovoked attack on ship in international water. All your evidence is sankety-sanky. It's gone down to the bottom of the ocean, so that's not happening. So, how do you deal with that situation? How do you deal with it? Literally, how do you deal with it? So now who's the joke on? Now who's laughing? Now who's laughing having, sank, immobilized a strike carrier group for an absolute fraction of the cost of that strike carrier group? And this is what people don't understand that's coming. People don't understand. You get these naval admirals or whatever, and they're, yes, our ships need to be this, our ships need to be that. Stop. You need to look at the real threat. What is the real threat? Where is it likely to come from? Because it's certainly not going to come from the Russian Blue Navy, because I would argue as well the Russian Blue Navy isn't up to standard, but the Russian Black Navy, the Russian Dark Navy, firing drones from civilian oil tankers. Do you see that? Do you see the directions there, guys? Do you see how that's almost impossible to counter? Right, guys, let's get some Middle East updates. Give me a second. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to be focusing this morning for the next 5-10 minutes on what's happening in the Middle East. Hang on.
Not just trying to achieve an exchange between Palestinian prisoners and Israeli hostages. He seems to be aiming now for something much bigger than this. He's saying that there is the moment now, the opportunity to translate this into the ultimate prize, he says, of peace and prosperity. So he's being pretty ambitious.
Yeah, sorry guys, I thought there was an update. There's not. Right, listen guys, what I can confirm from the Middle East. Oh, hang on, there's been some update from 1 minute ago. Right, I'm reading this, guys. Hang on. Right, sorry guys, we've got quite a few updates. Right, so the last one we did was, so the last update we gave was the Palestinian prisoners arrived in Ramallah. There's been another. Israeli forces fire smoke bomb at journalists around Offa prison. Sources have told Al Jazeera, so this is from Al Jazeera, guys, that Israeli forces have fired smoke bombs at journalists around Offa prison, from which Palestinian prisoners were freed. 20 bodies of 28 captives to be released from Gaza, while Hamas has released all 20 remaining living captives held in Gaza. The timings when the bodies of the 28 remaining captives will be released remains unclear. So it remains unclear when these are going to be released. Guys, look, when there's a prisoner exchange, it's very tentative. because both sides don't trust each other and both sides are getting prepared for the worst. Joy as Palestinian prisoners freed. Footage show, and this is developing, guys, okay? Footage shows Palestinian prisoners inside the buses that are transporting them to Ramallah, smiling and making the victory sign. The vehicles are surrounded by people, by crowds of people filming the scenes on their phones while others are holding Palestinian flags. Palestinian prisoners face brutal torture inside Israeli prisons. The Palestinian prisoners being released are likely to be in horrific conditions because Palestinians in Israeli jails are subject to the most brutal, violent torture. That's from an academic, Basil Faraja. So, you know, I'm going to assume he's biased. Oh, and he's reporting from Al Jazeera. So, you know, take what you want from that, guys. And then we've got from 1 minute ago, huge crowd cheers as freed Palestinians upon arrival. Right, okay, the punctuation is not right, but I'm assuming whoever's writing this isn't got English as their first language, which is not a bad thing. Huge crowds have cheered freed Palestinians getting off the buses that transported them from Offa prison to Ramallah in occupied West Bank. Right, listen, guys, I'm going to close this down now on, well, in a minute on both platforms. So I'm going to close this down on TikTok. I am going to close this down on YouTube as well. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. I'm going to come straight back, and then I'm going to do another live stream on what's happening in Eastern Europe, what's happening in Ukraine, the military buildup, Russian military, NATO summits, and what this all means. Because look, guys, while the main focus right now in the world is on what's happening in the Middle East. It is on what's happening in Israel, in Gaza, and of course later on today, what's going to be happening in Egypt. So, oh, hang on, I may not be going. Hang on. Oh no, sorry. Somebody just said that. Oh, hang on. No, I will be staying on. I will be staying on. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump's in the house. Right, guys, Donald Trump has just come on, so I am going to be staying on and getting his speech. Right, let me see if I can share this with you guys let me see if I can share this with you guys on YouTube. You guys who are watching on YouTube, I'll try and share this with you guys. Right, you guys on YouTube, I'll get this live feed in a second. Right. Guys, if you're watching on TikTok, I'm sharing the screen over on YouTube.
חברות וחברי הכנסת, היום יום שני, כ"א בתשרי התשפ"ו, 13 באוקטובר 2025, ואני מתכבד לפתוח את הישיבה המיוחדת של הכנסת.
convening of the Knesset to welcome President Trump, the
Guys,
President
I'm
of the
gonna
United States of America.
on TikTok, and I'm just going to stream this on YouTube now, guys. Okay, so if you want to go watch the live feed, I'm going to be open
Members of Knesset, before I begin, this is a special
later.
meeting. Therefore, there will be no interpolations. If anyone does disturb it in any way, will be asked to leave. There will be no cautions. But yes, you can applaud during this meeting, as you've already seen. President Herzog and his wife, Michal, His Honor, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife, Sarah. The chairman of the opposition, Mr. Yair Lapid, and his wife, Lihi, ministers, members of Knesset, special recognition to Ron Dermer, who led, he's saying it in English.
Special recognition to Minister Ron Dermer, who led the negotiation team
On behalf of Israel, thank you, Ron.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio,
He's speaking in English.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
Guys, we've got to be honest, that's got to be the coolest title that anyone could ever have, the Secretary of War.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane. Two key players, President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, who is here with his partner, Lauren.
Right, guys, I don't know how long I'm going to let this go on. You know, obviously there's a lot of pomp and pageantry to these announcements. You know, that I think they're wanting to let everybody who's done something behind the scenes. This is just the recognition of people's hard work that they've been putting in behind the scenes to get this hostage released, to get the hostage release, and get all the Israeli hostages back into Israel. Remember, there's 28 bodies, as I understand it, 28 bodies that are still to be released. Now, of course, for those families who want closure, that's an absolutely massive thing. They're going to want to bury their dead, I guess. What we can understand is the Hamas have lost any bargaining chips now, between they're totally at the mercy now of these negotiations.
שגריר ישראל בארצות הברית, יחיה לייטר.
Right, guys, I don't know how much more of this like clapping and like standing up. I'm just conscious of the time and the stuff I've got to do. What I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to keep this on. I'll stop sharing that. What I think I'm going to do is I think I will. I want to be on when the main speakers are speaking. I don't want to sit here for the next X amount of time while people are clapping and like saying each other's names, which I think is great. A lot of people have done a lot of hard work. Equally, people have got a lot. People are wanting to find out the information to find the next move. If you guys have been on this live stream, we've been talking about this later on today. So later on today, Sky News have even made a flick for this. Later on today, there's going to be the meetings in Sharm el Sheikh, and I think I'm gonna give this as my final monologue, guys, and then I will close this live stream down. So as my final monologue, guys, and if something key comes on, I will jump back, guys. But look, as my final monologue, look, guys, I am watching this behind the scenes, and as soon as we start to get the speakers, I'll jump back over. But later on today, in Egypt, there's going to be the meeting. There's going to be the peace summits. There's going to be the Gaza subject. Oh, hang on. There's going to be the Gaza. There's going to be the Gaza summit. What I've said is there's a few rumors going around online about an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. But what I've said is I'll give you guys my realistic opinion. If you're trying to take someone down like Donald Trump, it's not an easy thing. Really, it's not, guys. It's not an easy thing. First of all, he's guarded by, they're all, like on the president's team. You're not gonna have anyone on the president's team who is not ex-Navy SEAL. Do you know what? I wouldn't even say Navy SEALs. I would say if I was the president, I would go for a full Delta team. I would say that if I was the US president, I would want all my operatives to be ex-Delta Force. Now, of that, they're obviously tier 1 special forces. These guys are going to be in their late 30s, early 40s, still ridiculously fit with all that experience, all that knowledge through a 20-year career working as a tier 1 operator for the United States. So they're going to know how to use all the weapon systems, all the grenade launchers, all the machine guns, fly drones, use surface-to-air missiles. They're going to know how to do all of that. They're going to be in suits, and they're going to have all that kit and equipment on Air Force One. Air Force One itself is a fortress, Worst case scenario, I believe that they will have put that, I believe that they will have countered this, and I believe Air Force One could be used as a citadel. So maybe Air Force One can't get off the ground, but you know what? There'll be places on Air Force One that are armored. There'll be places on Air Force One that can probably pop up and have machine guns firing outside of it. All sorts of stuff. Remember Air Force One, when Boeing built Air Force One, I think it was like $4 billion or something. So, that is an expensive aircraft. $4 billion for an aircraft is expensive, guys, So I don't know what's on there. But if this is going to happen, if anybody's going to have an attempt at Donald Trump, and it would have to be a spectacular type attack, it would have to be a spectacular attack on Donald Trump. And this would have to be, if it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen in Sharm el Sheikh. Why? Proximity to the Red Sea. You've still got the Houthis that are more or less controlling the Red Sea. You've got the whole regions around there that are not happy with the people. Well, by regions I mean Iran's the main regional player, because peace in Gaza means war with Iran, because Iran's influence in that region has now gone. Oh, hang on, guys. I think they're talking. Let me jump back to this, guys, because they've started talking. Give me a second. What am I doing? I've totally messed this up. Hang on, guys. They've started talking. Let me share this with you again.
With a special Jewish prayer. 2,000 years ago, we were exiled by force from this country, from our land. But never did we ever forget Jerusalem in all those years. It is the beating heart of the Jewish heart when it was actually established 3,000 years. We have been praying to be back here every year. You, 7 years, were the first person, as the President of the United States, you recognized the sovereignty of Jerusalem as the capital. You fulfilled a promise that many presidents before you promised, but only you fulfilled that promise, and you transferred the embassy of the United States to the unified Jerusalem. Thank you, President Trump. Since the dawn of its existence, Israel has been forced to fight, but it always stretched its hand out in peace. And years ago, you, with Benjamin Netanyahu, you initiated the Abraham Accords. I was privileged to then serve in that Knesset, and as days have passed, it has taken on very special meaning, a personal meaning as well, because I was the Speaker of the first House that was formally invited by an Arab country, and we were invited, and where my parents, who were born there, in fact, in Morocco, special privilege, you brought in coordinated all 4 of those countries, and you said, peace for the sake of peace. You brought that together and brought that about. Long before your first term of office, already in 2011, you identified the danger embedded in a nuclear Iran, and you said in English,
"Is a major threat to our nation's national security interests. We can't allow Iran to go nuclear."
That threat on the United States, it means on the entire free world. Your consistent stand that put America first, but not alone. You brought with you to the White House in both of these terms of office 4 months ago, after the Prime Minister Netanyahu opened.
The best problems are the ones you never.
Right, guys, and on that bombshell with the ads popping up, what I'm going to do here, guys, is I am going to close this live stream down now. I'm going to be back on through the day, ladies and gentlemen. Today is going to be, guys, honestly, today is going to be wild. Today is going to be absolutely wild. I'm just going to go with a comment here that from now is saying, domestic threat of drones inquiry. Executive summary, the use of weaponized drone is now open to anyone with the ability to look, guys, I've been saying, like, how long have I been saying that? I've been saying that for a long time. That's why all of you guys need to hit those buttons down below, the like, the follow, the subscribe button, because I talk about these things way in advance. Asymmetric warfare, drone warfare, all these things, guys. You know, I've been covering these in depth. I am going to close this live stream down now. I will be back on very shortly, and what I will be doing very shortly is I don't know if I'm going to continue on this or whether I'm going to go with what's happening in Europe. Remember, guys, right now in Europe there is a mass military buildup. The Russians are building their military up. We've got rhetoric from both sides now. The Russians saying, be prepared to fight. We've got the Europeans saying, be prepared to fight. A fight could happen by accident, guys. You know, when you get these buildups, the example I give you guys, how a war can start by accident is, remember last year, I think it was summer, there was a German helicopter and the Russian Navy fired a smoke, a signal flare basically, and towards the direction of the helicopter. Came out on the news, oh, the Russians are, that by accident could have triggered a chain reaction, because now Article 4 is being invoked in many places. Article 4 is obviously the legal framework where you can strike back, where you can do these strikes. So now you have that situation where both militaries have built up. I'm talking about Europe now, guys. I will be coming back to what's happening in the Middle East before I close this down. Both militaries have built up. So if that happened now, what could happen is, again, this may happen from like the captain of the ship may say to the, I don't know, the bosun, and then that may go down the line, and then you get like a seaman, and the seaman, all he hears is fire at that ship because of Chinese whispers, and he doesn't hear fire signal flare at that ship, that aircraft, right? He doesn't hear that. So he fires at the aircraft. Simple mistake, simple miscommunication, right? Simple miscommunication. Then the Germans now, because, and again, hypothetical scenario, the Germans or the Polish or the Estonians, because Article 4 has been invoked, the Germans have changed their rules of engagement to, if you're shot at, you shoot back. So then the Germans fire at the Russian warship sank. The next thing you know, everybody's firing at each other. We don't really know what happened. The Russians are blaming the Germans are blaming the Russian. It were misinformation. And now we've got World War III just started by accident. In the Middle East, guys, look, later on today, there's going to be the summit in... there's going to be a summit in Egypt. Last night, there was a ritualistic, again, guys, I've got to mention this because it's there. There was a ritualistic energy release at the Genesis Live mystical music event, guys. That shit was wild. So a lot of wild stuff happening, guys. I'm going to go in the house. I'm going to have a cup of tea. I'm going to come back. If I can go on to this, I will, if there's something relevant. If not, I'll be putting video updates on all day. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the house, come back and give you guys a Europe update, an update on what's happening in with Russia, Ukraine. And then I will keep the Middle East as a back burner. And then later on when the... the Egypt summit is happening, I'll be live streaming then, guys, because I am expecting the worst, guys. I'm expecting shenanigans to happen today, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, guys, I'm going to close this down now. Please like, follow, subscribe, share my stuff, guys. Share my stuff. That really helps me out. I'll see you guys later.